Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Service Changemakers. My name is Dave McCall from PolSource. We're here to talk to Shoe Carnival today about their Service Cloud journey and the things that they've been doing with PolSource to advance their service business. So, as I said, my name is Dave McCall. I'm the Senior Director of Service Cloud Practice at PolSource. I've been in the service business for almost 20 years now, helping customers all across many different verticals in order to deliver great service experiences to their customers. I've been pleased for the last couple of years to be able to work with Shoe Carnival and work through some of the things that they're trying to do to change the service experience there. I've got with me today both Kent Zimmerman and David Hudspeth, and I'm going to let them each introduce themselves.
Thanks, Dave. I'll go first. Hey, this is Kent Zimmerman. I am VP of Consumer Technology and Innovation for Shoe Carnival, and I'm primarily responsible for all of the technology pieces that fit into our ecosystem that drives the customer experience at Shoe Carnival.
Hi, I am David Hudspeth, and I run the customer service and voice of customer programs here at Shoe Carnival.
Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it. We know each other well. We've been working together for quite some time now. Let's kind of get everybody up to speed. I know you came in with a strong vision for what you wanted to do. Tell us a little bit about what initiated this particular change in your service solution. Now a little over a year ago together.
Sure. Well, as you know, we were starting to look at how we could bring elements of our customer service program in-house. We still, this is back in pre-COVID, so late 2019, early 2020, we started talking with you folks about potentially helping us bring the Salesforce service aspect in-house while still keeping a lot of the business processes external to the business. And then COVID happened, right? The pandemic hit in March, and we decided to shelve the project. We had a lot of things going on in the business, very transformational in nature, warehouse management project, an order management project, not really knowing how many of our stores would be closed and for how long, and trying to ramp up our online business to meet that demand. So it just felt like, we understood what we wanted to do in terms of creating more ownership around Service Cloud and how we service the customer internally and in our stores, but everything just got turned on its head. So we set it on a shelf, got through the summer, and then realized that our current provider, outsourced provider, was completely underwater, and completely underwater, meaning our customers were sitting on hold for an hour. We couldn't really do anything to improve the experience when they were trying to email with us, chat with us, call in to our call center. So we made a decision that I don't think anyone would ever make consciously make at any other time other than during a pandemic, which we had no practice for, obviously, which was we felt like we just had to completely rip and replace all of our customer service and customer care operations within a 90-day window and time it to launch with our new order management system, which, by the way, we couldn't connect to any of the Service Cloud stand-up projects simply because we just didn't have time to make any changes on that piece. So we had to launch with a minimum viable product just to get the new call center up and running, and then to make sure we had visibility into what was happening within the call center. Crazy idea, but we felt like we didn't really have any choice, right? And we engaged with PolSource and with Salesforce to try to kind of get the car out of the ditch. And lo and behold, you guys did a fantastic job, and we launched on time, exactly when we needed to coincide with our order management system. And then we've had multiple iterations upon that as we planned on.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about the goals you had for that first MVP and even the phases after that. What and then what did we see besides COVID? What other kind of bumps came up along the way, and how did we work together to solve those?
Sure, I'll start here and maybe kick it over to David a little bit. The initial concern was to be up and running on the day that we launched with the new order management system, to be up and running, taking calls, answering emails, answering chats. Were there more that was there more that we wanted to do? Absolutely. But from an integration standpoint, we felt like we had to peel all those back and really de-scope this thing just to make sure that the new, call center was functioning. And then start scheduling out, okay, how do we start connecting Service Cloud to the call center? How do we start expanding our use of Service Cloud so that our associates in store can start to help the customer as they're coming into the store as well. So all of those things I think lined up fairly well. Some bumps, and I mean, when you stand something up that's a minimum viable product, and the customers are touching it, they're going to tell you all about the things that they wish you were doing that you're not. So maybe that's a good segue to David. He can kind of chat a little, tell you where the bodies are buried, maybe in terms of how we did all this.
So, as Ken said, we didn't go into it thinking we were going to end up with this utopian kind of system, because there just wasn't time to get there in 90 days. And so we went into it with, what do we need just to service the customer without any of the bells and whistles? We can add those later. And that's really what we did. As we were doing that and setting that up, we were also our new order management system and the other things that came along with it that I had developed training for, and all the agents training. So we just knew that rather than overshoot, we should just do the basics and get that going. And then we kind of mapped out, the things we then needed to have and the things we would like to have, and kind of our wish list, and kind of put them in categories that way to go forward with it, which is what we've done.
I think the key thing to remember here is we launched in right before holiday, right? So we had about a 45 day to 60 day ramp up period with the new call center provider and a new Service Cloud implementation to get to holiday. So would we have loved an environment where CSRs had everything wrapped up into one application and they never had to leave Service Cloud and it did everything? Of course, but the most important thing at that time was, can you take the call? Can you help the customer? Even if you have to say, hey, I need to call you back, or I need you to hold for a little while they jump into another application. That was miles better than what we were doing at that time, which was not servicing the customer. So just batten down the hatches. Let's get through holiday, and then once holiday starts to flatten out, then we can start some of these other phases up of the project, which is what we did.
Yeah.
We tell every customer to go with a crawl, walk, run approach. It's always what I'm kind of pushing people towards. What was really unique in your case is you had a very large catalyst pushing you towards a crawl, walk, run approach that it's very tempting when you get into a minimum viable conversation. We're talking about the minimum viable product, to say, well, this is the minimum I need. Well, I kind of also need this, and I kind of also need this, and keep adding to that minimum. In your case, I think we really did build a very minimum viable product that first time, and then we've been able to really add on to that since then to build out a great agent experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I think that you all understood the nature of what we were doing. Our partners with Salesforce understood the nature of what we were doing. It wasn't just it wasn't a typical Service Cloud implementation, and we didn't think minimum viable product because we're just conservative and maybe let's just put our toe in the water. It's like, no, it was literally crisis management, and we were all extremely nervous about the level of effort that we were putting on your plate in order to make sure that we had that we had the right interface up for the CSRs on the day that we switched to the new OMS, right? Not the next week, not 2 weeks from then, right? So yeah, it was unique. It was unlike anything we've done before. Obviously, the pandemic kind of caused a lot of those scenarios in retail, but it was crisis management on our part and your part as well.
But now where we are today, I know we invested a lot in creating a great agent experience. And for, again, one of the things you'll hear me say if you talk to me long enough is that an agent experience changes the customer experience. So if you give a great agent experience, you're going to get a great customer experience. So I know we spent a lot of time kind of unifying that desktop and making a great agent desktop for them. Has that investment paid off? Is it working for you?
Absolutely. So we did 2 phases after the initial one. In the second one, because of the time of year it was, and the development was during holiday, we launched directly after. We did some basic integrations into our loyalty system platform and into our order management system, and stood up a chatbot. And then after that was up and running, we went back and this last one, we've done a much deeper integration into our order management system. So of all the functions the CSRs can do directly in Service Cloud now without having to go to another platform. And the other platform is actually quite easy to use. It's a little click intensive, and we've really simplified that in the Service Cloud and engineered out any user errors. So the experience of not trying to do that all at once was good, because by the time we got to that, we knew what the CSR experience was. So we kind of engineered the deeper integration around that to take that into account, so we didn't have errors that we had to then manually fix.
So as far as where we sit today, what features are you taking advantage of on the platform today? How far have we gotten so far?
We're, I would say fairly deep into it now. We're actually even moving our stores case management into Service Cloud now. We had a different provider for that, and we're actually launching that in 2 weeks. So it's making things more simple, and we're also using it to track some internal cases, so to speak, for some different platforms we use here in the building and throughout the company. And so we're just kind of bringing it all under one roof. And we had, for example, one of my favorite things was, before we had Service Cloud, in order to communicate our promotions to the agents, was a very labor-intensive manual process of cutting and pasting out of a system that our marketing department uses. So we created a custom object in order to communicate that information in a much more efficient manner. It's much easier to change, and we can actually put more in it than we were in just emailing spreadsheets. So that's actually one of my favorite examples, and I'm very excited about moving our store case management into Service Cloud as well.
Yeah, what I love about the way your system works today is I love that you've got, like, for agents, you've got the ability for them to see promotions, to see orders. I understand we have the loyalty management system pulled in there. So you've got a lot of different pieces for them to get to in order to serve the customer, whatever channel we're using. We're serving customers phone, email, chat, web, any of those, you've got kind of the ability to bring in a lot of different information.
We're at the point now where really the only thing they have to go outside of Service Cloud for is our, payment and payment management. Everything else they do on a day-to-day basis, we have right there for them. And the loyalty management, it seems like a small thing because there's not a lot we actually do in there. Issue rewards, change personal information, that kind of thing. But the time that it actually saves getting into that program, it doesn't seem like a lot. If it saves 30 seconds, but that's 30 seconds times all of the context that we have about that. So, it really adds up. And I've seen our handle times actually in the, I think we're 4 weeks into the latest one now. The handle times are actually starting to come down in a noticeable way.
That's great. So what are we going to do next? What's next for all of us?
Well, I think that, we're evolving and transforming a lot of our business outside of the call center, outside of customer care. But all those things are going to continue to touch Service Cloud, and it'll continue to touch the call center. A good example is, our CRM and loyalty programs are continuing to evolve. We're definitely transforming some of the technology that we're using to support those. So the way that we think about it is that no different than what David was talking about with our stores, is really just pushing out as much information as possible to our associates in the store, so that when the customers come in, they know as much as they can about that history with the customer. We want to do the same thing with the CSR. So sending out the promotions is fantastic, and that process is miles ahead of where we used to be, but obviously, where we're all trying to get to is, what's the right promotion for that particular customer who calls, right? So we treat it kind of like we do with personalization. How can we get the right content to the right person at the right time? And that right time could be when they call the call center, right? Or it could be when they come into one of our stores. So the more integration that we can do around those supporting systems, to truly build that single view of the customer, or in this case of Service Cloud that supports the customer, then it's going to be worth our effort. The customer doesn't think about, hey, well, I go into the store and they can't tell me, they don't know when the last time I called, or they don't know the last time I had a return, or for whatever reason. We just want to arm our associates and our CSRs with as much information as possible about the customer. So that means we're just going to continue to evolve the information that that we integrate with Service Cloud.
And I think a good service experience, a good agent experience for service is also a great foundation for that clienteling that you want to do, where you're, bringing it out to the associate in the store.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's our time. I appreciate you spending some time with us today. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ken, for joining me and talking a little bit about our experience together. I'm looking forward to kind of the next phase for all of us. I think we've got a great partnership together.
Yeah, as are we. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you very much.
Great. Have a good one.